Hello, good day classmates and to you ma'am. Since we discussed already the emotional and behavioral disorders, now let us jump on to our next topic for today, which is speech and language impairment as unidentified language deficits of students. But before that, I will introduce first myself. I am Kaharudin B. Panindigan, your reporter for this topic. So shall we start? Okay, speech and language impairment or SLI. It is also an Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004 category. According to the Minnesota Department of Education 2015, speech and language impairment is defined as a communication disorder such as stuttering, impaired articulation, language impairment, or a voice impairment that adversely affects students' educational performance. Language disorders also include the deficits in fluency and voice disorders. Its common characteristics includes improper using of words or meaning of words, the inability to express ideas, reduced vocabulary, and inability to follow directions. That is according to the American Speech Language Hearing Association of 2015. Classmates, we have here some examples of speech and language impairment, such as our first is aprasia of speech. Aprasia of speech happens when the neural pathway between the brain and a person's speech function, speech muscles is lost or obscured. The person knows what they want to say. They can even write what they want to say on paper. However, the brain is unable to send the correct messages so that the speech muscles can articulate what they want to say even though the speech muscles themselves works just fine. The second is stuttering or stammering. Stuttering, also referred to as stammering, is so common that everyone knows what it sounds like and can easily recognize it. Everyone has probably had moments of stuttering at least once in their life. The National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders estimates that 3 million Americans stutter and reports that of the up to 10% of children who do stutter, 3/4 of them will outgrow it. The earliest this fluency disorder can become apparent is when a child is learning to talk. It may also surface later during childhood. Rarely, if ever, has it developed in an adult, although many adults have kept and stutter from childhood. Stuttering only becomes a problem when it has an impact on daily activities, or when it causes concern to parents or the child suffering from it. In some people, a stutter is triggered by certain events, like talking on the phone. When people start to avoid specific activities so as not to trigger their stutter, this is a sure sign that the stutter has reached the level of a speech disorder. The third is dysarthria. Dysarthria is a symptom of nerve or muscle damage. It manifests itself as slurred speech, slowed speech, limited tongue, jaw or lip movement, abnormal rhythm and pitch when speaking, changes in voice quality, difficulty in articulating, all labored speech and other related symptoms. It is caused by muscle damage or nerve damage to the muscles involved in the process of speaking, such as the diaphragm, lips, tongue, and vocal cords. Because it is a symptom of nerve and or muscle damage, it can be caused by a wide range of phenomena that affect people of all ages. The fourth is lisping. A late term, lisping can be recognized by anyone and is very common. Usually developed during childhood, and children will often outgrow an interdental or dentalized lisp on their own. Fifth is we have spasmodic dysphonia. Spasmodic dysphonia or SD is a chronic long-term disorder that affects the voice. It is characterized by a spasming of the vocal cords when a person attempts to speak and results a voice that can be described as shaky, hoarse, groaning, tight, or jittery. It can cause the emphasis of speech to vary considerably. Many SLPs specialize in the treatment of spasmodic dysphonia. Sixth is we have cluttering. Have you ever heard people talking about how they are smart but also nervous in large groups of people? And then self-diagnose themselves as having Asperger's? You might have heard a similarly diagnosis for cluttering. This is an indication of how common this disorder is as well as how crucial SLPs are in making a proper cluttering diagnosis. A fluency disorder, cluttering is characterized by a person's speech being too rapid, rapid, too jerky, or both. To qualify as cluttering, the person's speech must also have excessive amounts of well, like, or so speech disfluences, an excessive exclusion or collapsing of syllables, or abnormal syllable stresses or rhythms. Seventh, we have muteness selective mutism. There are different kinds of mutism, and here we are talking about selective mutism. This used to be called elective mutism to emphasize its difference from disorders that cause mutism through damage to or irregularities in the speech process. Selective mutism is when a person does not speak in some or most situations. However, that person is physically capable of speaking. It most often occurs in children and is commonly exemplified by a child speaking at home but not at school. Seven is we have also aphasia. Aphasia is a communication disorder caused by damage to the brain's language capabilities. Aphasia differs from aprasia or speech and dysarthria in that it solely pertains to the brain's speech and language center. And the last one is speech delay alalia. A speech delay, known to professionals as alalia, refers to the phenomenon when a child is not making normal attempts to verbally communicate. There can be a number of factors causing this to happen, and that's why it's critical for speech language pathologists to be involved. Now, I repeat, the types of speech and language impairment are aprasia of speech, second is stuttering or stammering, and then third is dysarthria, fourth is lisping, fifth is spasmodic dysphonia, the sixth is cluttering, the seventh is muteness selective mutism, the eighth is aphasia, and the last one is speech delay alalia. That's all for today. Thank you very much for listening, and that's it.